What's going on, everybody? It's Joel here, and today we're going to be taking a look at the strike movement SUEZE. I'm going to be honest with you guys, I have absolutely no clue how they want me to pronounce the shoe's name. I don't know if it's SUEZE, I don't know if it's SUEZE, I don't know, SUEZE, I don't know. I'm going to say SUEZE because it's suede haze, and that just kind of works. But yeah, this is the first material update of the haze trainer. The haze trainer, if you don't know, is probably still one of my favorite training shoes, like in the top 2 of my favorite training shoes till this day since it came out in 2021. It's one of the best all-around training shoes, and it's still current right now. You can still buy it. Now, the SUEZE trainer could actually make this year's top 5 list because I think the changes that they made to it are big enough to warrant it being almost like a new shoe, but there are some things that we need to talk about with the SUEZE trainer. First things first, let's talk about the build quality and construction. Typical strike movement stuff. It's actually built on the same last and everything as the haze trainer. So a lot of the things that you've come to know and love about the haze trainer are pretty much the same with the SUEZE. The first major difference though is the upper. So this is a micro suede material, and it's throughout the entire upper of the shoe. So it's got a one-piece look to it. Someone the other day in my CrossFit gym thought it looked like a TPU upper from far away. She thought it resembled the cage that they used to put on the Nano 3, Nano 4, but it is actually a micro suede material. And even though it sounds like it would be more of a flexible upper compared to like the normal knit that's on the normal haze, it's actually a lot more taut, less flexible, and the structure of the shoe is just greater overall compared to the haze trainer. Now, you do have some paneling around the back to give it like some character, but aside from the little cutout that's the heel counter, I don't think that there's anything in there besides probably just the same kind of like underlays that they put on this normal haze trainer, which there would be one that wraps around the metatarsal, and then there's one that would wrap around the toe bumper, and those are the non-perforated areas. And then probably, I guess there would be one right here as well around the ankle collar, but it does have that one-piece look to it, and you can't see that stuff. Now, obviously, you can see the ventilation holes. There's perforations all over the toe box on the medial side and then on the lateral side as well. And this upper, if you couldn't tell by looking at it, is pretty resilient. Like, I did rope climbs in it, and you can't even tell that anything happened to it. So I'd expect it to hold up actually probably better than the standard haze upper, which is durable enough in its own right, but it's a little bit softer, and this is a little bit more of a taut material. Another change that they made to the shoe is the laces, and they kind of just changed the laces from shoe to shoe, colorway to colorway, and the particular laces that are on the SUEZE trainer are a like fatter flat lace, and I gotta be honest with you, they are awful. They come untied almost like every other double under when you do double unders. And maybe I'm just bad at tying my shoes, but I just could not get these to stay tied. The tongue is the same style tongue. Obviously, it's got the suede on it, but it does have the little pleasure pocket. I guess I could just use that when I'm doing my double unders, but that's one of those things that you kind of just like overlook. But that's what it looks like with the laces tucked in. It's a little weird because these laces are like so fat. But you can get them in there if you really tried. All right, now coming around to the outsole of the shoe, it's your standard haze outsole. There's no differences between the SUEZE and the normal haze in terms of the way that the traction goes, or the traction pattern goes, but I did notice that these were a little bit more slippery on my rubber flooring. Maybe it's that I haven't cleaned my rubber flooring in a long time, but I noticed my feet slipping around in these shoes more than I ever have in any of my other haze. And like I said, it's still one of my most used shoes. I don't know if they did something to the rubber, but that's just something that I noticed with my SUEZE trainers. It still has the Cush 50 midsole, so tons of response. There's plenty of stability in this shoe while still remaining comfortable and responsive. This is probably my favorite midsole compound in just about any training shoe, maybe any training shoe ever. It's something that you really have to put on, try out, and become a believer, because it's really incredible what they've done with this midsole compound. Now, staying true to the intelligent minimalism that Strike Movement touts, these are a 4mm drop shoe. Let's take a look at the insole, which is minimalistic on its own right. It's got a nice anatomical shape to it. The back part of the insole has ridges to help keep it in place inside of the shoe. It doesn't really slide around. There's a little honeycomb pattern at the midfoot and heel, and then there's perforations at the forefoot for breathability. I know that's one of the things that they wanted to improve with this insole, and I think it does a very good job with breathability. And it cups your foot in place. It's comfortable without being too much or too mushy inside of the shoe. It's probably about 3mm thick. Now, typically with a material change, you're going to find an increase or decrease in weight, and that is the case with the SUEZE. It actually goes up in weight, though. I clocked in a men's size 10.5 at 11.9 ounces compared to 11.5 ounces with the normal haze trainer. All right, now when going to size your SUEZE trainer, I'm going to recommend that you go with at least a half size up from your normal haze trainer size or your Nike size, maybe even a full size up if you're coming from a Reebok shoe that just run bigger in general. I found that these shoes initially were really extremely tight. Like, the length of these shoes is the thing that is really affected, and I think that's because of the new upper. But when I first put these on, my toes were curling up in the very front of the shoe. I gutted it out and tried to break these in as much as I could. I tried to wear like thin socks. I tried to wear no socks, just really trying to break these in. And they eventually opened up, but my toes are still in they all touch the very front part of the shoe. They're not curling up as much, but if I wear thick socks, they definitely will do that. And I've used these for the last 3 weeks, just really trying to break them in. The first workout that I did in them was the workout Glen, which is a 1 mile run, 30 clean and jerks, a 1 mile run, 10 rope climbs, and 100 burpees. And they still were tight after that workout. I did 3 weeks of workouts in these, and they are still tight. So getting your normal size and hoping that they're going to break in is not going to work. Make sure that you get at least a half size up with your SUEZE trainer. So if you're coming from Nike, you're probably going to want to go half size up. If you're coming from Strike Movement, you're going to want to go half size up. If you're coming from Reebok, maybe a full size, but at least a half size up. If you're coming from Tier, it's going to be a half size up. Pretty much almost every shoe you're going to want to go a half size up to a full size up. If you're coming from barefoot shoes, it's likely going to be a full size up to get into the SUEZE trainer. But other than that, at least there's no heel slip. The toe box is very wide on the Strike Movements, and I think if you were to get these in a half size up, they should fit overall very well. But if you go true to size like me, it's going to be a little brutal. All right, now going over the flexibility shoe, which is not actually all that far off from the standard haze trainer. The one thing that you're going to notice the most is that the upper doesn't really give as much, like it doesn't want to expand as much as the normal haze trainer. It does definitely flex, and even through the break-in process, it wasn't so uncomfortable that I could not wear these shoes, but the flexibility is not as good as the normal haze trainer, and that's something to take into account. It's still better than a lot of shoes. It's just not as good as the normal haze trainer. So while things like your running, your jumping movements, bounding movements are not going to be as good as the normal haze trainer, they're still plenty good, and they're still absolutely doable in the SUEZE trainer, because these are still just a more well-rounded shoe when it comes to being able to go from a lift into like something running or something that you're jumping through. I still think that these are still going to be plenty flexible. But if you were somebody that wanted more flexibility, then I would still stick with the haze trainer. And if that's something that you liked about the haze trainer, I would still go with just the normal one over the SUEZE trainer. Now, where the SUEZE trainer excel over the normal haze trainer is that they are a better lifting shoe. They're not leagues better, but they are objectively a better lifting shoe. And that is because they have a more structured upper. The upper on this shoe holds your foot in place a lot better. So when you're doing things like Olympic weightlifting, barbell cycling, your feet are going to shift around a lot less than in the normal haze, which they can, but it's never enough to the point where it's like this detracting in the normal haze trainer. But these ones are definitely the more stable feeling shoe because of the more structured upper. They still have that Cush 50 midsole, which, like I mentioned earlier, is extremely responsive. The energy return on that midsole is excellent. It never feels mushy. It never feels like your lifts are muddy. It's easy to time things. I really cannot say anything bad about the midsole that's on the Strike Movement Haze and the SUEZE trainer. It's just one of the best ones out there. Now, if you wanted a higher drop shoe, then that's something that you'd have to look elsewhere for. But I feel like 4mm drop is still the best all around when it comes to like powerlifting, Olympic weightlifting, barbell cycling, and even things like running, jumping, and doing all that stuff. Now, if you didn't have a problem lifting in your haze trainers, I know that I didn't, then you might not care about the fact that these are a better lifting shoe. But if you were somebody that found the foot containment lacking on the normal haze trainers, then I would definitely recommend that you look into the SUEZE. Okay, so the SUEZE come in at $5 over the normal Strike Movement Haze. These are $155 compared to the $150 of the normal haze. And I think if you're a fan of the haze or Strike Movement in general, you should definitely check out the SUEZE. If you're somebody that had issues lifting in your haze trainers, then this is probably gonna be a must-have for you. But make sure that you go up half a size at least with these shoes. Size them up, because buying your true to size and hoping that they break in is the wrong move. I don't care what Strike Movement says, these shoes will not break in and they will not be comfortable in your true to size. Unless you just like small shoes in general, then maybe they'll work for you. But I'm somebody that does not want my toes touching the front of shoes, certainly not curling up in the front of my shoes. So if I was not reviewing these, I would have sent them back right away. But since I had to do a review on them, I stuck it out, I gritted it out, and I still don't think that they're comfortable. But I do think that if I were to get these in my normal size, I would actually like them. I like the fact that they are better for lifting. The upper holds your foot in place better. I don't think that it detracts that much from the flexibility and being able to run in these shoes. I still think that they are very comfortable for bounding movements. I just don't think that they're sized properly, and that is my main issue with them. But overall, the SUEZE are a good shoe. They just sized improperly. So if you guys have any questions about the SUEZE trainer, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And as always, guys, please hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.